From the Bob Mills Weather Center, meteorologist Stephen Nehrenz.
Well, as we know, we've had some hot stretches this month of July, but overall, we've kind of gotten off pretty easy compared to some other parts of the country that have just been baking in the summer heat. In fact, we've had more below normal days than above normal days this month. Specifically, when we talk about high temperatures, our highs for the month of July so far, we've had quite a few days that we call near normal, meaning they've been within like a degree or two of normal. We've only had 5 truly well above normal days and 10 days that have been considered below normal as far as highs go, as far as more than a degree or two. So, again, this time of year, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to see, but we've got a lot more heat on the way the next several days, and we're getting into a much more true mid to late summertime pattern where that upper level ridge sets up, shuts down most of the rain chances, and helps kind of crank up the heat and keeps it going for a while. Looks like that's setting up for the next several days and beyond here. As we look from gathering place, still a good park lunchtime hour, but of course, stay hydrated, keep the sunscreen handy. 89, heat index of 93, but a steady south wind. That's going to help out a lot this week. Most days this week will have a pretty nice south breeze. In fact, I think that wind gets stronger for the middle of the week. So for those that do have outdoor activities, if you're in the shade, you're going to have a pretty good breeze going most of the week. Dew points upper 60s, low 70s. Yeah, that's higher than it was over the weekend as the drier air that we had got, at least briefly, kind of fades away. And our dew points are going to be generally in that range for most of the week. Now, having said that, that's not as bad as they were at times earlier this month, back into June, when we had some of those just miserably, ridiculously muggy days. We don't think, at least right now, dew points are going to get back to that range, and humidity will get back to that range. So that should keep the heat index from getting too terribly extreme, but there will still be humidity, notable humidity, and that's going to push our heat index values up. So feeling like the mid-90s right now in most spots. Now, the one exception, I showed radar a few minutes ago, up around Miami, Grove, Grand Lake, you've got a little more cloud cover, slightly cooler temperatures, and even a spotty shower or two, but that's kind of just highly confined to those areas. Here in the Tulsa metro, we should climb to the upper 90s by the afternoon hours, 97, maybe 98 for our high if we keep the sunshine shining pretty bright like it is, and the heat index over 100 to about 102 or so is what it'll feel like. Slow cool down this evening, and so unlike, again, the last few days when we dropped off pretty quickly in the evening hours, we're still near 90 at the 9 o'clock hour tonight. So there's those showers that mostly stay Missouri and Arkansas, but again, Miami, Grove, spotty shower, not totally out of the question. Tonight, tomorrow morning, the winds will stay up, the humidity will stay up as well, and a few passing clouds, so we won't cool off very much. Future is trying to hint at a sprinkle or two in the morning. We'll see. More than likely, we'll just have some passing clouds, but even if we did have that, it wouldn't be significant. And tomorrow afternoon, we've pushed the highs up a little more, upper 90s. We'll try to make a run at 100 here in Tulsa. Speaking of, I mentioned the humidity, heat index values. Again, if there's any solace here, we're not forecasting those 115 and above, ridiculous heat index values that we had a couple weeks ago, but, 105, 106 still is not going to feel pleasant at all. And that will be right on the border of heat advisory criteria later this week. The heat dome, we got it to push off to the west over the weekend. That allowed that northerly upper level flow to push that cold front in here. That allowed for a very nice weekend. Well, here comes the heat dome, and this is what we expect this time of year. This is just a very typical mid to late summertime deal. The ridge expands over the center of the country. Now, occasionally at times, there can still be little pockets of showers and storms that kind of ride around the edge of that ridge. So in the days ahead, we may start seeing that show back up. But in general, what's going to happen is the heat dome expands and then kind of sits over the middle of the country. So it won't just be Oklahoma. As we head towards this week and even next week, getting into the beginning of August, a lot of the country outside of maybe the Northeast is going to be feeling the heat as we head into the next couple of weeks. Aptly named dog days of summer. That's why we call it that, because this is typically what happens this time of year. So we held it off as long as we could, but here come the dog days of summer. Upper 90s today, but then triple digits around 100 to 101 looks like can be expected for most of the week. Sunshine and steady south winds. So yeah, here we go. Just hang in there. Eventually we'll get better, but the next few weeks are looking very much like late summer usually does.